Hey everybody, welcome to Tilt City, and no better time for these two folks to tilt than right after another horrendous Tottenham Hotspur match, perhaps their worst of the season, and on the backs of what was not a great weekend DFS wise for me at all. So we're firmly in the spirit of Tilt City. I'm Alex Hooper. This is Tom Stoss. Am I alone in that, bud?
Oh no! Oh yeah, I'm right with you, man. Let's see. The first 40 minutes or so, Liverpool was a lot of fun. We looked kind of solid, looked dangerous a little bit, and then actually I didn't watch the second half at all. I turned it off after that extra time goal. Wasn't having it, and it was the right choice, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, everything got bad. This
Yeah.
isn't a Spurs podcast or anything, but it got bad. Surge leaves the grounds completely. There's a blowout between Jose. It's like
Whoa.
year three came early for Jose Mourinho. Year three is always a bad one. So, but yeah, DFS wise, Saturday was kind of, I think I said systematic. I don't know if that's necessarily the word I want to use, but it was pretty cut and dry. Luckily, it was a three game slate at once. There wasn't late swap, which I've grown accustomed to late swap, and I've learned to leverage it. And I felt kind of hopeless. Things are really good. I went and I was out, and when I put my phone away, I think I had Mitrovic in a lineup with City, with Torres and Jesus. So like, I think that I played that in the big GPP, and I was like, all right, I have a shot. And then by the time I looked at my phone again, there were three more goals in that the West Brom match. So let's take a look at that really quick. Newcastle beat United in the early match, two from Callum Wilson. I didn't play Callum Wilson, of course, because not a great cash play, especially when he's an underdog. But so Palace and Wolverhampton, you couldn't get to Neto this weekend. He was like 10-6. It was a ridiculous price, especially for a team who barely ever has possession, even if they're favored. The fact that it was Eze who scored, I think that's what really turned the tide in like double ups. I think there were some people who played Eze. That was a bit of a decision point. He was a worthwhile decision point in cash games. Not the best in my opinion, but it worked out well. You got the goal. So that was really all that happened there. Again, I know I played someone from Wolves. It was our boy Hover here who got subbed out in the 63rd minute. He didn't do much, but he was cheap. And the reason I played him was not a reason I wanted to play him, but we'll get to that. So the big one was everyone was playing City, and City only puts up one on Sheffield. You weren't surprised to see a 0 from the Blades, but the fact that you got one goal in the 9th minute from City, and if you were stacking City, which I think we all did, you didn't get there, especially if you didn't have Jesus. And who likes playing Jesus in cash? Not me. I did it. He's
Yeah,
cheap.
I'm mad that he is back into the equation for the City Roulette idea. Usually, you could at least maybe there'd be someone else to back you up if on another goal or somewhere if you didn't pick the right one. And
Right.
if it's just Jesus, that's not happening for me, especially.
Yeah, you can survive that one goal from him, especially if they put up 4-5, because you can catch the other ones. But when he's the only one, it was the decision. I don't know that I want to say it was the decision that made the slate beforehand. I mean, it was when you look at it afterwards, like, yeah, you needed him or else you probably weren't going anywhere given what happened. But beforehand, I don't know. It was just how much City you took, I think, was the question, and whether or not what you did with those other two pieces.
Yeah, it seems to be at least in the because I've been taking it easy. I just did the one double up. It was for me, the decision. I mean, the deciding thing was where everyone else went and if they got the right choices there.
Right.
Because I mean, yeah, like besides Jesus, everyone was sort of floating around. I don't know if there was a bad choice. There was like a 2.3 point difference between some of the guys.
Yeah. And sometimes that's all that'll really be there in a
That's
double
true.
up.
Yeah.
And especially, I mean, this was a generally low scoring slate. And like, if you had Kyle Bartley in cash, like whatever you punted, I'm sure he was 2,800 or less. Bobby Reed's not an awful play, but like, I don't think his salary lent itself to cash games. Mitrovic, not a great cash play at all. Caballero, I could see getting to with Lookman on the pitch. And there was another perfect option for Fulham that I didn't get to that I had originally, but again, there was a reason that didn't work, and I'll get to that. But Pereira, West Brom's so bad that like I didn't want to go to Pereira, but he's not a bad play. So let's jump into the weekend. Let's start with this one. I somehow beat Blender. It was really just, what was it? Silva and I went Lookman. So this was it. This was the one. Like,
Okay.
if I went back in time, I would have figured out a way to get Blender's lineup because I played around with this for a while. I would have had Lookman and Loftus-Cheek if I didn't need a third team. Like I was locked on it, and I even pressed the button knowing that it was going to tell me like to F off, but I tried. And but I mean, in retrospect, I mean, Loftus-Cheek outscores Lookman. Let's see, 5 crosses.
Yeah.
So no crosses from Loftus-Cheek, but I mean, he's 3,400 and he's playing in a very attacking spot on a team that was a favorite. So like, he made a ton of sense, and I wanted to get to him there, but I went with the sets of Fulham, thinking that West Brom's so bad that I wanted to get a potential goal scorer, and I thought he had the better shot. Which, I mean, when you consider the odds of anyone scoring a goal ever, like the difference isn't that much. So you might as well play the cheaper guy. But with the sets, it's just that's where I fell, and I could have gone Loftus-Cheek and like literally anyone else except someone from City, and there are a lot of good options, but this is just where I fell.
Yeah, I realized too that the thing that really messed me up was a couple of weeks ago. I think we said that like something about like if like the not favored team, then like there's the guy could just score up front, and I went with Oliver Berg. Like I for some reason I that was the move that I thought was the guy. He's 800 more than Loftus-Cheek. I don't know what I was thinking there, man.
I saw it.
Yeah.
When you sent me your lineup beforehand, I saw it, and I was going to say something, but like I punt forwards all the time. Like he scores and fine, but I do it all the time. So I felt kind of like a hypocrite being like, I wouldn't do that. So
yeah, it's a learning experience though.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. So yeah, this is Blender, and this was just Silva was the guy I didn't feel like was gonna do it for me. He got off the Laporte chalk 2,500, like everyone was playing him, and again, like you could get to places like Loftus-Cheek for 900 more and still get to. I mean, that's the exact savings between Lookman and Silva. And like when you think about it, you'd rather have another City piece. Like he's one of the best there is. So I like looking at his lineups, and I totally see why he did everything that he did. And I mean, we had pretty much the same lineup, but this was the big one. Like as soon as I saw that he had Loftus-Cheek, I was like, of course, because that was the smart move, and it turned out to be the smart move. So let's see. I know I have 2 more that I wanted to look at, just variations of what you could do with City. Bodega, decent player. I played him quite a bit. Got to Loftus-Cheek, got the goal from Pereira. Again, like he's playable. He's got all the sets, and when they are cooking, he's going to rack up points. And if they have possession somehow and he's bombing in crosses, he's going to get a lot of points. But I mean, 5 crosses minus the goal, so that's 12-6. So similar to Lookman. Lookman was actually better without the goal. So different way to skin the cat. That's all it really is. And that's what, like you said, that's what makes a difference. It was going to be these 2v2s the whole time. Like these 3, I know I was just saying that Jesus was kind of questionable, but they were kind of obvious just because Jesus was so cheap and they were so favored.
Yeah, I should have thought of at least that cheapness with him too. That would have been.
That doesn't always work though, and like I get caught up in it. Yeah. I get caught up in it all the time. Like technically, what we're trying to do is find the most underpriced players. Like find the edge, find the vulnerability, and that definitely sticks out. And Torres, again, like he stuck out, and then you were going to Foden regardless. So I don't know. I don't like playing him, and I'm so used to just being like, forward, no. Like he's leading the line, no. I don't want him. Like I don't do goal scoring odds. That's a public number. Like it doesn't. So I couldn't avoid him, which it worked out. So and then email up. Let's see. So this was just a different variation. So he found a way to get Lookman and Loftus-Cheek, and that's why I wanted to look at this one, because like Laporte, unless he scored a goal, I mean, I guess I probably expected him to be a little more productive than Nathaniel Klein, or any cheap fullback, which I don't know that there were any other than Klein, and he's normally like 2 points, so I would have expected 7, and then I still would have been in shouting distance, but because of Loftus-Cheek, it made up the difference. So this was just a different way to do that. You're fading Silva already. Like if you don't like him and you like Lookman, you still get that value of Loftus-Cheek. This is a really sharp build from a really good player who he plays me every week, and generally he wins. I don't know if he's actually making any money off of me, but I think this is like the 4th straight week I've discussed him. So we just keep going at each other. Oh, here's a preview. So this was today. So let's move on to today. We got a 3-game slate. Chelsea was weird earlier. Okay, so it started with Leeds Leicester. I stacked Leicester in a couple of GPPs. Got the early goal from Harvey Barnes from James Maddison. Things were feeling good. Then I had him in a line with Stuart Dallas. I mean, the two of them in a line with Stuart Dallas. But I also had Schmeichel in that line. I went full stack. I continue to make the mistake that I keep mentioning, where you don't, just because you're stacking a team who you expect to score a bunch doesn't mean you have to play the keeper. I do it all the time, and it's not like there is no correlation between Harvey Barnes and Kasper Schmeichel, despite the fact that a Barnes goal puts Schmeichel in, gives him the ability to get the clean sheet win. That's the only thing, but like they don't affect each other. I don't have to play them, and if you don't play the goalie and he concedes, you don't have the negative correlation. I gotta stop doing it, but I keep doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. If you ever told me to, or if I ever like heard you doing that, I didn't absorb that at all, because I like never do that.
I say it, and I continue to do it, and I gotta stop. There will be a lot of times where I make the stack and then I switch down, like I punt down at the goalie if I like the line enough that I get off it. But I don't know why. It's just I automatically go to that. I'm just plugging in players, and I don't even think about it because I'm rushing to do other lineups. So like when you're playing 20 lineups in a slate or whatever, I lose track of that a lot, and I probably make a lot of negative EV decisions because I'm just not putting enough thought into my lines. And I think that's a larger thing for me right now, because I'm not taking as much time and doing as much research and thinking through, like after I make a line, looking at it and being like, all right, is this plausible? Because generally I'm like, all right, got to get to the other one. So that's just a matter of how I'm playing. But regardless, Patrick Bamford, fantastic. The way Leeds has been playing, there's no way I was getting him in cash. Harrison, I thought about it, but he's pricey. He's like 8,400 or something like that. Liverpool, Salah back. I debated for a really long time. I asked Gator in the Discord, like, do you think this is old school Liverpool or the Liverpool of the last couple of years? And he said, no, not quite. And they're still not, but Mo Salah was himself, at least in his finishing. I wanted to Shaqiri. He was super cheap. He was on a wing. Wijnaldum's a seemingly good play at 3,400 or whatever, just if you're punting that position, if you're not expecting too much of a floor. But he's been running some goals. He's got that Souček, if he fits, you can play him sort of thing, but like you're not trying to. And then Craig Dawson scored. So there was that. I actually lost to someone who played Craig Dawson. So
nice. Good call.
And then we had this one earlier today, which we already kind of talked about. Spurs they're already asked for DFS, and they didn't do anything worth noting. We'll get to them in a little bit, but Pascal Gross I played in cash just because I thought Brighton would have a lot of possession. I thought that they would get some shots up and make something happen against Spurs, and they did. I didn't think they'd have that much of the ball. So, all right. So I did beat our guy Emu today. Let's see. So this is much different. So we both had Madison, we both had TAA, we both had Fabianski, and we both had Sun. So it's big time save. So this is kind of what I was saying with like, because you find someone who's inefficiently priced, like it's not the end all be all. It's what we're trying to do. But like, it was very clear that Shaqiri was, for his role and his form, it was clear he was underpriced. I actually wanted to get up from Stevie to Shaqiri, but I couldn't because of I was sticking with Gross. I was going to stay there. I'll talk about Son in a second, but Origi, on the other hand, like you didn't know if he or Salah was going to be up the middle, and like he's not that good. Right. 4,200. I mean, I played Steven Bergwijn, so it's not like, I mean, I think he's better than Divock Origi, but whatever. Phillips, I gave a lot of thought to as well for that price, and I think I actually did play him in Showdown, just that he was on a couple of sets, only 3 crosses, but wow, another disappointing outing from the Liverpool fullbacks, which I guess happens every now and then, but they just haven't been themselves as Liverpool's kind of tried to rediscover their form. So I understand what Emu was doing, especially, I mean, great price pickup here, great price pickup here, fading Salah in case someone had him maybe. I don't know that he would have the price or the money to get to him, regardless if you're on Sun. But Mark Albrighton was a great call by Gator. Oh no, the voice thing's happening again. Gator kind of called that one, had Albrighton in the core, 5,700 against Leeds, not bad. But the big thing for me was Son. I played him. I thought the match was going to be closer. That's fine. But I should have known. I should have known that he was going to play up the middle, that unless he scored a goal, like he wasn't going to have the same influence in play. And he still got, 1x, as you'd say in NBA. Like he replicated his salary and whatever. And I think most days I'd be okay with taking a 9.24 from Sonny, but without a goal, of course. But I don't know. I should have known that his role was not going to be helpful. And Bale was on, so it took some of the free kicks away. And I got caught up. So I wasn't happy with that one. I'm glad Emu played him too, but that's that. Look at another one. Toby Phillips. Murray State got the Harvey Barnes goal. Otherwise, I mean, you got a correlation here. It didn't really help much. Phillips, again, the great call. Everyone's got Madison. So I wasn't the only one playing Son. Bergwijn at 45 makes a lot of sense.
These are rough. I'm glad I overslept. I'm glad I just slept past the first game.
Took the day off.
I evened out on the showdowns after that, but yeah, it would have been a bad story, I'm sure, from my side.
It was a rough.
Yeah.
It wasn't the most fun build. It really wasn't.
I always get excited when I see when I pull it up and the highest, there's guys that are everyone is 9,000 and below. I initially get oh yeah, this is gonna be great, and then I realize it's because there's a bunch of hard choices to make, and you think that okay, I'll just go with the Liverpool fullbacks, and then no, there's not.
Yeah, and today it wouldn't have been fun.
Yeah.
So I don't know Kid Queso. I've never played him. I've never seen him in the lobby. I think he has a full badge, so maybe he's playing other sports, or maybe I just miss him. Maybe he plays GPPs. I don't know. But this is more of a GPP lineup. Again, he got that Craig Dawson goal. That's the one I was talking about. And then if you played Salah, you were in a good position today because there really wasn't anyone else who had anywhere near. I mean, Madison was good. Madison was himself. But so even if he doesn't play Craig Dawson, if he plays any other center back who's not 3,300, which is already super expensive for a center back, that I still lose because of Salah. But I mean, Maupay is not a great, even at 6,300, not a great cash play.
No.
And yeah, you've learned that one.
Yeah, that was a quick early lesson for me.
GPP or otherwise. Johnny, like whatever, you're already punting, double punting, it worked out, whatever. Enjoy your $18. So yeah, it was a weird one. It wasn't weird. Saturday made sense. Saturday made a lot of sense. Other than that, City just didn't do what we thought they were going to do. But that happens. That was just variance of sorts.
A couple weeks ago, that seemed like what City was up to. They would
true.
like go like 1 up, 1 or 2, and just sort of sit around like, oh, oops, I didn't get that guy. I didn't get that guy. So I failed again on City Roulette. I mean, that's it. Like they had a stretch there of those blowouts. But before that, yeah, there was like a count on them for the 1 goal and sit.
Right. But so like, I know I said like you kind of want to take into account who they're playing, and you see Sheffield at the bottom of the table. I don't think they're that bad defensively. I mean, like that's been their MO since they came into the Premier League, was that they were a good defending side. And I think most of their losses are like 1-0 or 1 goal losses or something like that. So
it's true, huh? Yeah.
But they're just horrible. They're just so bad offensive. Like it was an obvious. I've never had a harder time paying up for goalie than today. Or Saturday. It made a lot of sense. I don't like doing it, but it was them. I think with Sheffield, you can bank on them not scoring, which that's got me in trouble before, but I mean, they're going to score eventually. And then with West Brom, you can assume they're going to give up goals. With Leeds right now, I think you can assume they're going to give up goals too, but they scored more goals today. So like, I think I'm still cool on like attack West Brom when they're playing, and like I don't want to condone just blanket paying up for goalie against Sheffield, because that's probably always going to be the most expensive goalie on the slate. But so that's what we learned this week.
Gaeta was a better play. I think he pulled in more.
Say that again.
The Gaeta pulled in like 3 more points than Ederson. So yeah. I had him too. That was like I just blew it everywhere else. But
don't pay up a goalie.
I don't know.
There's generally always a way to go that will still get you more points, especially with Ederson and teams like that. All right. So we were talking about running through the table, just kind of let's see, we're just over halfway through the season. And we wanted to just kind of take stock of who's where, just talk Premier League in general, but also what each team offers from a DFS standpoint, because this is a DFS show. So, I mean, I don't see a way where City doesn't win at this point, but also it's still really early. I'm not locking him in, but like with the game in hand, that gap's just going to grow. So teams got to hope City goes on kind of a negative run here, but everyone has so far. From a DFS standpoint, I mean, at this point, it might get a little more interesting with them depending on how long KDB is out. So obviously, like I can't think of the last time I faded KDB in cash. I don't know that I've ever done it. Half of that is he's obviously very good. The other half is like bias. He's my favorite player ever. This guy who like got me into the sport. So like I don't fade him, even when I should probably, which is rare. But now Foden's on everything. He's going to get more and more expensive, and probably to the point where he's not worth it on a slate-by-slate basis.
Yeah.
Obviously. I'm not saying blanket, but I bet he continues to get pretty pricey. Otherwise, I don't think anyone loves playing Mahrez at this point, and I don't think he's going to get many sets. But as far as prices go, he's become a little more friendly. Sterling's become a little more friendly. Gundogan is priced out of his mind at this point, and I don't see myself playing him for a while. Cancelo can be pretty expensive. Again, like we don't know the prices, so we can't take full stock of these guys, but the center backs are too priced up at this point because they're scoring too much, unless Laporte plays. But Man City's Man City. Like, is there anyone from City other than De Bruyne when they're at full strength that you just love hammering in there? Is there a guy that you just always go to other than not Jesus?
Right, like I can't think of it. No, I don't think so. There's no guy that like could hit 12 and I would still be like, throw him in. I have him in there. Not even Foden, even if he's, to get a lot of the work.
I'm interested to see just where he winds up because
I guess I am curious.
When De Bruyne comes back, Foden's going to be unplayable because they're not going to readjust his price probably. So, but yeah, I think even without Kev, like they're still the best team. They're the only team who seems like impervious to heavy downswings. I don't think Liverpool's going to go on another one, especially if they get a center back tonight in transfer window, just one that's competent, and so Henderson doesn't have to play there. But how about Man United?
This is a very good example of one of the teams I need to reevaluate on. We talked about it before we hopped on today, but especially for me, so many of these guys I need to like think about. Besides, like Bruno, obviously locked in. Like I wrote so many of them off constantly, and I don't know. That's probably not the right choice anymore. Maybe, I don't know. What do you think?
So like they bunker against big teams.
Yeah.
Like they don't try to win those. They try to go and win every other match. And I think Bruno's great against bad teams. Against good teams, I'm probably mistaken. I can look at this as I'm talking probably because he's right here. But like, so bad against Liverpool, good against these dudes. I can't go back any further, I don't think. That's not a big enough sample size, but okay, here you go. Liverpool bad, Liverpool good, so it's already a bad start. Yeah, so like whatever. That's not my point. I'm not gonna fade him or anything, but
right.
I don't think you have to fully reevaluate him from a DFS standpoint because there's really not anyone. Bruno takes up so much of all of their DFS goodness that like there's not a lot left. So if I just kind of go through like Rashford, depending on his price and depending on where he's playing, like if he's out wide, which he normally is, and if they're favored, like you can slot him in a cash game dependent. Like he is a very slate dependent player. Martial, I don't think anyone likes playing him, especially when he's up the middle. Like Cavani is one of the worst DFS players that exists because he'll get a touch and score or get a touch and not score, and that'll be his game. But so like Luke Shaw takes a lot of sets. He's getting more and more expensive, but because they're good and because they have so much possession, you play them. Like most United slates, I'm playing Bruno and Shaw, and then like I don't have to think about anyone else unless I need to punt and Axel Tuanzebe or whatever his name is playing. Like I don't think you need to really reevaluate time. Pogba might be the only one where we might have to like reconsider his role on the side, and I think that changes on a match by match basis. But like McTominay doesn't do much unless he's scoring braces randomly. Aaron Wan-Bissaka he has a decent floor, but he's always overpriced for that floor. Like I don't want to pay 5,000 or even 4,900 for 6 to 8 points on tackles, which is completely up to the scorer's discretion anyway.
Is Tellus hurt? What's going on with him?
He had COVID. He came in and went out.
Oh, okay.
He's been playing a lot of like the cup games and stuff. But
okay.
Yeah, he's another guy like generally you want to lock him in, but he's been inconsistent.
Yeah. That was like I was sort of struggling every time because I would find it hard to justify his price.
Right.
And I was comfortable after a while because I found other ways to make that work without him, and then I don't know. They always just frustrate me a little bit. I always feel like I should be including someone, especially when they pull out the win. But yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, Bruno probably is the best one besides maybe Luke Shaw to lock in.
Right. He just soaks it up. Like you're gonna play him, but I don't know. There's not a lot to love there, and that's fine. Like that helps you open up spots for other people. Like if you think I'm playing anyone other than Kane or Son for Spurs and cash, like no, well, Maurice, but that's a different story. That's for something completely different. But anyway, Liverpool, I hate them. I hate them so much. I was gonna say like I hate them for DFS, and I was like, yeah, I also hate their fans, and I also hate the way that the media talks about them. And I don't hate all of their fans, but I'm so over them. the way that NBC Sports, it's like, and I love Rebecca Lowe, I love the Robbies, I love Tim Howard, but the way that they gush over Liverpool and talk about their fans, and oh my God, it's exhausting. I can't take it anymore. I can't do it. I'm not like, I don't do banter. I'm not a banter guy. I overdosed on banter in my radio days. I don't, but geez, I can't do it. I just can't do it. And like all the you'll never walk alone, and they have these banners that are like, we're not us without you, and they just have this whole like cultish family thing going on. I hate it. I hate them so much. Oh, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, you'd rather have a team that is constantly frustrating and you
yeah, right,
that hates you as much as you hate them.
Right. Like, I hate my club, and that's like, put that on the banners in the stands. It's just like, we hate you too, and be like, yeah, let me buy that hat. Liverpool's like, it's.
Speak on it. Let's go. Tell me how you feel.
I'm trying to put it in a way that's, I mean, I've dwelled on it enough. I'm trying to put it in a way that's not offensive. God, yeah, so many offensive things. Do
you think that's like, are they the most popular Premier League team in the US?
I think okay, so. Definitely right. In the Northeast. Spurs are getting there, and then United has. I mean, they're merchandise United. I can't say any of the things that I want to say about Liverpool. Especially because Gator will ban me from this.
Yeah, we'll get dropped.
How about, so I'm not a believer in this at all, but like Beta Boy FC is the only thing that's going through, the worst versions of that are going through my head.
As opposed to Alpha Tottenham guys. Like
yeah, right. Yeah, like me, the most alpha person on earth.
We find happiness elsewhere. Thank you very much. It's not on the pitch ever.
Right. No, never ever. So does that do it for a DFS deep dive of Liverpool? I hate them, and I'm disparaging their fans on the internet.
I was like kicking myself. Like I like going forward. I want to see how they like how like the Mane, Salah, like who works where, like against these teams. Because I should have been able to read that Mane would have been the guy against Tottenham. I don't know. Like that's. Especially with Serge over there on the side. Going forward, I'm just looking to see that matchup. But I really don't like them DFS wise.
I don't either. Like City, this is dumb, and like this is not financial advice. City, I have my biases, and I'm just like, yeah, that'll be the guy. I'm like, I love Torres, play him. Cancelo's great, play him. Liverpool, it's like I don't feel any sort of way about any of their players. I loved all of them like upon arrival. I guess I'm just speaking of Mane, but I've liked Wijnaldum, and I didn't know anything about Salah until he was there, but he's very likable. Klopp is very likable. But just the conglomerate I hate. Choosing between the fullbacks feels very much like it. I mean, it tips one way or the other from week to week, it seems. It's one of those things where I think you need to know very in depth what their tactics are like. But you're right about the Mane thing. Like, it's hard to think about some of these things sometimes when you're dealing with other factors like the salary and the roster construction and things like you need to think about to be successful in DFS. But like, I can't think on the spot like, oh, Mane's on RA's side, that's probably going to be the guy to go to here. Like in showdowns and stuff, I generally just go Salah because it's Mo Salah and he's been good. Mm-hmm. And like, those are the things that I need to take more time to think about and like look into, but sometimes I'm racing against the clock and I just don't think about it. But yeah, just generally like I'll plug Wijnaldum in when I need him.
Right. Yeah.
If I can get both fullbacks and still like my build, fine. If not, I'm probably going to go with TAA until he's like vastly priced higher than Robertson. And then just like, I'm never going to Firmino in cash. Van Dijk will be overpriced when he's in. So like, even if you want clean sheet equity, like that's not a place to go in cash. He's a center back anyway. They just don't have a lot of DFS friendly dudes other than the fullbacks relative to their price. And then you just kind of got to choose their forwards. So they're really coming on though. I mean, they're still the best offense in the league. They just need a center back, and I mean they'll pass United eventually. It'll just be another two horse race for the title. That's yeah, we're cruising. Leicester, you play Madison. James Justin's close to an autoplay for me. I play Castagna a lot because I can save salary there, but James Justin he's damn good. Like I think he even started on the left today, and he was very good. Generally, I only try to play him on his right foot, but he was very good on the left today.
I overlook him for some reason. I don't know. It started off early. It probably was enough matchups where there was someone else that worked out, and I just was like, nah. Or he let me down once or twice, and that was just it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where was he priced at? Do you remember?
50. Oh. He might have been 5,000 today.
That's not bad at all. Yeah.
No, he was relatively cheap. I got to him in some places. I didn't get to him with TAA, but he's good. He's a good player. I would look to him. He's not an auto lock by any means. Like you don't just plug and play him because sometimes he has down game. If he's on the right and they're heavily favored, like I would heavily advise at least considering him. Very rarely somehow is he ever the most expensive defender on the slate. He has been, but 1v1 against players in his salary range, I feel like he's always just cut above. He just always seems a little underpriced, but you don't always want to pay up for that spot. So other than that, like Madison, I'm trying to think if there's anyone from Leicester that I ever really love playing. The fullbacks.
I'm just trying to look at the last time Vardy scored here. I don't know. I can't.
He's been hurt.
Yeah, that's true.
Hip operation. I think that. I think that was just like 1 or 2 matches, but
he hasn't. Not like he was like a lock before, but like I could at least like GPP wise, I could say like, okay, I'll throw him in, and that hasn't been panning out.
He was a lock to beat you if you didn't play him, which for me is every time.
Yeah, right.
I just don't want. I'd so much rather play Harvey Barnes.
Yeah.
I hope he gets an England call up soon. You know, I think he is very like a system guy. I don't have anything to back that up. I take it back. I love Harvey Barnes. I love playing him. I think he's a fine winger. I don't think he's going to be the best option for England ever, especially when you got Grealish and Sterling and Rashford. Like those guys can all play the wings. So like, but it'd be a nice guy to have on your bench. West Ham's in 5th. Bowen.
Up the hammers. Let's go.
Bowen is ass. Cresswell is only good when you don't play him.
Of course.
Souček is gonna win the Golden Boot.
Souček's good when we like go back and forth about him before.
Right. Souček's good when you send me a lineup and you have Souček and I'm like, I wouldn't play him. Yeah. Fade me next time. Next time you're gonna play Souček, just fade my advice. I don't mind playing Mikel Antonio. He's got a good shot floor. He's really the only, I don't know. Said Benrahma is still kind of underpriced, but he's not a great cash guy. I don't know. Nothing about them stands out. I don't know much about. Every time I go into a West Ham slate, I don't really know what I'm going to do. I want to play Cresswell, and I'm like, I should play Bowen. And then I play Bowen, and I'm like, wow, he's overpriced. Today, I moved up in Showdown. I moved up to Antonio. I actually won a ticket by captaining Antonio, who didn't score.
He did a good return otherwise.
He was a 10 in the captain spot. Okay. But I had Salah. I had Wijnaldum who scored, and I had Shaqiri who had assists.
Okay.
So it's not what I was scripting for, but I got there.
Right. Yeah, I felt like I had a good handle on them until Antonio started making a lot more, performing better. I'll consider him before I consider Bowen. I'll say that. From here.
And like Bowen is clearly the cashier player, but like he's just a letdown. He's a constant letdown waiting to happen. Yeah, I don't feel great about them, and I really don't feel great about them hanging in the top 5. But we talked about Tottenham. Like I'll play Kane and Son when they're together. Like I don't know that I can even play Son now, because if he's gonna play up the middle and if they are as bad as they looked today, like, and then the only other guy I liked playing for Spurs was Aurier, and he may never play another match. They might just sell him, or he just might get the Danny Rose treatment where like Mourinho doesn't even tell him that he gave his squad number away to someone else, and then he's just banished from the. So like there's not much to talk about there. We better win Europa or the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, let's go. Do it.
Let's actually move on and talk about Chelsea, and then hopefully we can just kind of burn through. We're spending a lot of time on this, but
yeah, that's true. Let's go.
It's almost time for the Royal Rumble. We gotta get out of here. Chelsea. Chelsea's different. I don't know how they're going to line up game to game now, because Tuchel has put out 2 or 3 games now, just completely different lineups. Like Azpilicueta scored from center back today. Marcos Alonso banged one home.
Yeah, sure did. I was hoping that would his lineups would make sense between the two, right? And he's just like throwing whatever at the wall, and we got to see where it lands. I hope it doesn't take that many more games until they're predictable.
The one thing for me through 2, we've talked about this a lot, is Callum Hudson-Odoi. Like, you're gonna have to pry him out of my cold dead hands. I don't know. His price wasn't like necessarily great today either. I want to say he was in the showdown. He was up in the 9s or something like that. Like he wasn't priced down, but he takes sets. He's very active. He's on the wing. Like he checks all the boxes. I don't know why Lampard wasn't playing him. I didn't know why. Who was their manager before Lampard? Conte,
I think. Yeah.
I don't know why he didn't play. He was trying to go to Bayern, and like if Bayern's like, yeah, we want him, then maybe you should play the guy. Like he's very good.
Something there. Yeah.
He's very good, but they have an abundance of wingers. Pulisic's a winger. They want Werner to be a winger. So yeah, it's very dependent. I'll play a lot. I mean, like I'll play Reece James. Chilwell, I'm losing interest in until his price comes down. Alonso's a great DFS player. He's much like Serge, where he's not a great player, but DFS wise, even without the ball, like generally he's pretty good. And then whoever plays that left wing, like when Ziyech gets in there, whatever. Oh, I haven't even talked about my favorite player, Mason Mount, who's right here staring me in the face, the 8th highest rating this year. I've come around on Mount. Yeah. I kept calling him Portsmouth Moutinho just because he took sets and he was disappointing, but he's not. He's really not anymore. That's all I have to say about. Like, I'll probably play him. I still like Ziyech more than him. I would like to see Ziyech take all of the sets. Like, I mean, he was so good at Ajax, and I know it's a different league, but he's a better player. He's a better player than Mason Mount, and that doesn't necessarily mean anything for free kicks, but I like playing the better player, and that's a tough one for me to move off of, even though it's like from a DFS standpoint at this point, it's not really close. It can be.
My problem with all those guys is like I can make a case for almost anyone on Chelsea, and like it very rarely is more than 3 guys that follow through on that.
Hopefully, the industrial German Thomas Tuchel will decide that there is one way to do everything right and just decide on the set taker. Whereas Frank was like, I don't care.
Mason.
Like you just, Mason, you can take them. Reese, you got these ones. Ben, go at it. Ziyech, take 11 at it. Like you just couldn't figure it out. So hopefully we'll see some normalcy. But yeah, they're all over the place. I don't love it. And hopefully it changes. I don't know what their squad's going to look like going forward. Let's see. Everton. Hamas. Mina is not cheap enough to punt anymore because he scores. Seamus Coleman's whatever. Luka Digne is generally priced too high. But he's good. He's very good. I don't love getting to Richarlison. DCL is slowed down. Like, it's really kind of Hamas or bust.
Yeah.
If you can get the Dina, great. But
their tumble down the table is like sort of has reflected my just not wanting to touch most or any of them. Right. You have to really force me. It has to really, really make sense for me to get to even like Hamas some of the time.
Right.
It depends for him.
It's getting there with him, but
yeah,
he's right here. He's fifth. When you look at this, so you have the ratings over here. I mean, from a DFS standpoint, other than Stones, like with defenders, you're going to get high ratings from these sites for different reasons. But when you look at these guys, like, these are kind of the guys you want.
Yeah.
DFS even. What happens when it? Okay, never mind. There's Mahrez.
Well, that's why he's at the next 10 down, because
here it is. Here's the guy.
See these guys. That's right.
Wow, I'm hurt. Quick aside, really quick, before we get back to these teams.
Sure.
There's a video from I wanted to say Fubo. Tifo football on YouTube, who I love. Basically the athletics soccer wing. They did a breakdown of like 5 stats that define the Premier League so far. Mm-hmm. And they're like advanced stats that I think some of the guys you see in the top of the stats that they use, which are applicable to things in DFS, especially when it comes to keepers, if you're guessing on guys and like their prices are just odds based anyway, you can see who the actual best keepers at shot stopping have been this year. You won't be surprised at the guys at the top.
Okay. Yeah. What is it? Is Nick up there?
I believe it's Lloris by a clear margin, which can be a little bit of a surprise, but they just give up so many shots. And then Martinez and Pope are right there.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I think it's a pretty big drop off. And like De Gea's pretty low and Mendy's actually pretty low, which I didn't expect. But I would look that up. It was very good. It was very informative. But that just got me thinking. Pickford is not there, to get back to Everton. He's not up there.
That makes sense. Yeah, I got to take a look at that, because like that will define keeper punts from there on, if I'm going on.
I think Gaeta's up there as well.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, I figured you would. So Everton, not a lot there. They sold Bernard too, so you're not going to get that $3,400 winger anymore.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, Iwobi can be a decent play at times because he's so cheap, but he's not a great play. Okay, Villa, I love everybody. I would play 7 Villa guys on every slate. Like I love playing Grealish. Watkins for a striker. Watkins, I feel like he gets there. Again, I have nothing to back that up. I'm on his game logs in front of me, but I feel like he gets there every time. Traore gets a lot of crosses, a lot of set pieces, and if El Ghazi's there, same thing. Douglas Costa is generally a good punt. Matty Cash is fantastic. Matt Target is a nice cheap piece. Martinez is a great keeper. Right. There's not really a lot that I don't like for Villa.
Yeah, they have it. I with them. I mean, it depends on who they're playing. That they're kind of very dependent on that. But I can make a case for a lot of those guys too. Right. Can't remember. Like, was I big on Ross Barkley a couple months ago? I don't remember.
He was taking a lot of their sets.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he got hurt that one game, and I didn't
talk about him. Gotta refresh the table here. Yeah, he's another guy that. I mean, he gets sets and you can play him. I don't love him as much. Arsenal, they killed Willian, which is good for them. Saka's a fun play. Otherwise,
he's pricey, but yeah, he seems to be making a lot more sense.
Right.
Justifying on that.
Anytime you get a majority to Monopoly set taker who scores goals, like,
yeah,
we're not saying anything people will know, but like, there's not really anyone else. If Cedric plays, I'll get to him sometimes, but he's generally priced where he should be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ava, no. Willian, no. Emil Smith-Rowe, his price is coming up.
Okay.
Not going to get to him a lot more.
Right. But they like seem to have found their footing a little bit more. So I'll consider, like, because like Saka was like, who knows if they're just gonna not be able to make anything happen in the game. I know they just did it. They just drew nothing to Man U, but they're getting a little more active, especially with him behind the ball.
Right. As long as they have the kids playing, they're fine. Like if they try to play those old heads again, like they just
come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, not a lot I like for Arsenal. They're a mid-table team. But I mean, like, we got gridlock in these spots. So.
Oh yeah, wow! I didn't realize that. Oh, that's tight.
Yeah, 4 points separating. I mean, 6 points separating 12th in Europa. So plenty of a race for that. All right, Southampton. I love playing James Ward-Prowse, even though he's not as active as a crosser right now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Walcott's prices come up. He's not a great play very often in cash. Speaking a lot of cash. Bertrand's not bad. I don't mind him in certain spots. Kyle Walker-Peters is a lot like Aaron Wan-Bissaka to me. But he's getting priced up now too. You're going to have that. He's not going to be a guy that I'm hammering a ton. Che Adams is a really good player. He's still a striker that you don't necessarily want to get to, and like even in GPP, like Ings is probably a better play because that's the guy that's going to score the goal. But like Che Adams is a much better player than he gets credit for.
Mm-hmm.
Not a ton of love on Southampton though. Is there anyone there for you that I missed?
No, this has been this is really nice to go through actually for me because I feel like I'm on like well is he getting priced up? Is he still under 30,000? He's right around there.
30, I think he's like 32-ish most of the time. He's not gonna be under 3 for a while.
No. But that there was this team especially was one that I got locked in a read on when I first started in October.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is whatever in the season, but this is like my phase 2 where I need to see what carries through in terms of the ideas I had before.
And that's what we talked about too. Like we talked about this before we actually started the show. Like you got to readjust because teams change and teams are changing. And I don't feel like I have a great read on a lot of teams right now. And that's kind of why we want to do this right now. And speaking of a team that no one has a great read on ever, set pieces or otherwise, it's Leeds United. Play Rafinha.
Right.
Even though today I didn't play them because they were dogs.
Yeah.
I like Jack Harrison as a player, but they've also given up 36 goals. So they allow the fewest actions per pass. I feel like I'm making this up. It was in that TIFO. They press the highest, but they also have given up joint mode. Oh my God, 50 goals from West Brom. Okay, other than that, joint second most. We'll say that. And they still have a game in hand over Palace. So it's like you can stack against them, I think. You can also stack them. Yeah. They're a very good game stack team.
Mm-hmm.
There's just scoring. So
they're slipping a little bit in terms of me stacking them. I used to feel very comfortable with pulling in Alioski, pulling in Harrison, getting Rafinha in there, and it's the list is dwindling. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I feel as comfortable stacking them as you might.
If Stuart Dow's keeps playing forward and is a mid-price defender, I'll play him. Right. I like playing Harrison. Patrick Bamford's very involved in their attack. I feel like his assist numbers might be high. These are all things I can just look up. Wow, really? Aaron Cresswell and Jamie Vardy have 5 assists.
Oh yeah, so it's the Harrison, Rafinha, Bamford at 4. Cliche has 5 assists.
There you go. 6th in goals plus assists.
Okay.
And there's Jamie Vardy again. Look at us figuring things out. Maybe I should play Jamie Vardy more. Alioski hasn't been doing much. Ailing, I think, winds up staying back more times than not. If Phillips' price continues to stay near 3,400, I mean, if they're still dogs, I'll play him. And then
but I hate having to unless it really makes sense. Like those cheap guys at midfield, like you're not scrambling. Like you have pieces that you need to fit in at midfield.
Yeah,
Unless it's like a utility spot. Like
right.
I don't know.
The opportunity cost is often too high to punt midfield.
Yeah.
You can't say the same about forward, and you can say it a lot of times about defender, but midfield, like, I think a lot of times you want to have 3 midfielders against slate dependent, but so yeah, leads are confusing. I might just throw a game stack in every time Leeds plays and just hope to catch fire. Like today, it could have worked for sure, but I was still stacking Leicester. Palace gives me trouble as we wind down towards the bottom. We're probably going to have more of this. They don't attack. Like, I'm not playing Zaha anymore.
Right.
I like Eze, and if he is on without Townsend, I think he's a strong play. If Townsend's on without Eze, I think he's a semi-strong play, depending on what the game setup is, what the game flow is going to be.
Yeah, I've been trying to. I keep forgetting to look out for that. I didn't even realize that he was. And Townsend wasn't even in for today.
Just another thing you got to consider is just the lineups on a day-to-day basis. And again, like, I'm with you, man. There are days where I just don't think it through, and that's bad. That's bad news. You got to really look at them, and there are a lot of times where I just look at it and like, yeah, and just completely disregard like what is happening on the other side of the pitch. So I gotta refocus. Period. There are a lot of times where I show up, honest to God, I show up and I throw my lineup in and I move on, and I don't sweat over it, because a lot of times I'll sweat over it and make the wrong decision. So I think I just kind of went with like, go with your gut, but I need to find a healthy balance. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna. Yeah, I like dialing back in the amount I'm playing too, and like I tried to like think like, yeah, just throwing something at the wall would be the best idea. That's where you do miss those key lineup decisions.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's Palace.
That's Palace.
I'm trying to think. Like, there was a time where I was playing McCarthy at 3,400.
Right.
Because he was getting enough sets, but you're not there. Like, they just don't do anything. They don't do enough. And even their set takers don't do enough because they're bunkering. They're bad. I can't believe they have 26 points, to be honest. Wolves are a real bummer. Neto's priced up. I love Podence as a player, but like he's not involved enough. I hate playing Wolves. There's not a player other than Ruben Neves that I enjoy playing from Wolves, like where I'm not holding my nose when I plug them in.
Yeah, they were just almost every week. There's some, every other week I'll say there's like some guys that like, oh, that worked out. They're going to be good going forward, and then they just screw me over. Wolves seem to be a lot of those guys. Podence is one of them.
Yeah,
and actually Neto has 2, but sometimes he justifies it.
Right. Yeah, that's the difference between a goal reliant guy and a cross happy guy.
Yeah,
that's where it'll get you. Yeah, we're just down in these teams where, like, this is a block of teams who just don't attack, and like Newcastle, I'll play Shelby if the price is right. Ryan Fraser went off this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was against Chelsea. I think that was the match, and like, he's a guy I'm gonna have to watch for because he can actually be active. He's actually a solid player, and they suck, but like, he's fine. Manquillo is a nice punt for them generally. He just shows up in a lot of slates. He's super cheap. He's going to get you 2 to 6 points, hopefully 6 more often than not, but he's fine. Not a lot I love there. These aren't teams with anyone worth playing other than their set takers. Except Burnley, who's got Nick Pope.
Right.
And Ben Mee, who scores often as a center back, but that's not something you want to rely on. Dwight McNeil's okay. There are times where he's way priced up. Anyone on Burnley like ever?
I meant to ask Ben Mee. He's been still pretty cheap besides those goals, right? Has he been above 4,000?
No.
Okay, yeah, that's still depending on who they're playing.
Right.
That is, I still like that.
Last guy in, like, you don't want to. You're not shoehorning Ben Mee in your lineup.
No, that's true. Yeah, but if it makes sense and I have 4,000 sitting there,
yeah,
I think I'll look at him.
Yeah, definitely not. Like, you definitely want to check every other position first, and then be like, all right, yeah, who is going to maybe score the goal?
Right. But almost everyone else is like, I usually overlook them and then they score.
Right.
And the Ashley Westwoods, the we talked about Chris Wood like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Chris
always
Woods.
overlook them
Yep.
when it comes to punting somewhere. And
Ashley Barnes
usually bites me. Okay, yeah, it's another one. Thank you. Yeah.
If there is a min price guy leading the line, fine. If there is an expensive guy leading the line, hate it. Already hate it.
Mm-hmm.
But like those guys, I'll play Wood. I'll play Wood in cash. Like I've done it just because there are other spots where I think I'm getting so much floor, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. Even if they don't score, sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. Brighton's actually the opposite though, because I love playing Pascal Gross. He's a fine player. Solly March is good. Trossard is not bad. He scored today. He's on enough sets. Generally too pricey, but also not super pricey. Maupay is really the only guy I don't like playing.
Right.
Lamptey, I love playing Lamptey. Brighton's a good team. I can't believe they only have 21 points.
This is weird.
Team, but like they're not
right. Because this is one of the first ones in a while that I'm like, I know that I want to get Gross, and I know I want to get Solly March if it fits with the Gross or whoever is on the slate.
Veltman, even Veltman's okay.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, it is kind of crazy they're that low. I don't know. Maybe they just.
Yeah. This was their first home win, I think, of like the entire season today. So
you're welcome.
Yeah. Fulham's another one. They only have 17 goals, but like Cavalier is generally so cheap.
Right.
I don't think I played Lookman this weekend, slate dependent, but like whatever. These are teams who just have guys who are so cheap sometimes that you slot them in against better teams, and that's fine. It's Cavalier is that guy. Bobby Reed plays on the wing, and he's generally cheap. You can play him. I don't know that I'm going to be going to Joe Bryan again anytime soon.
Oh yeah,
I don't know that I'm going to have to.
I wish some of their defender options made like panned out every once in a while, because like I've tried to fit them in and just craps out on me.
Anthony Robinson's pretty good, the American.
Yeah. Well, was he the one that got the red card a couple weeks ago? Was that? Yeah, I got him in over the weekend, and he 4 points or something like that. That was another one of the places I went wrong in this with the city combination there.
Gotcha. I like him quite a bit. I've played him quite a bit. West Brom, I've punted a lot of their Kieran Gibbs $2,500 fullbacks, which gets you about as far as you expect. Pereira's a fine player. I think we're going to get a little bit of Robert Snodgrass. Okay. He might take some sets eventually. I don't know when that is. I don't know if he did this weekend. I got to look at that. But yeah, no one from what I played John Stone a lot. There are so many players I'm bringing up from these teams just because I'm like, I'm punting this guy. But no one you love to play. And that's especially true with Sheffield. Yeah. Sheffield will just run out a random slappy from their U13s and it'll be min price. And you're like, sure. Or like
maybe this will work this time for them.
Right.
Maybe this will be the guy. And it's not.
All right. So that's kind of it from a DFS standpoint. Like, I don't think there's much more to talk about. This might have been better to do after the transfer window. I'm trying to think of guys who have just come in. I don't think it's going to be much more, but like Jesse Lingard at West Ham, like.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Maybe he does anything. Maybe he takes some sets from Bowen.
We'll do a slight reevaluation afterwards to see, because though I don't know, like what else is anything else in the works? Are there any big moves being talked about?
No, saying Spurs and Liverpool are going to get center backs. Spurs, I don't think it matters at this point. But I don't think there's going to be anything big. So what I read today is that Delhi was supposed to be loaned to PSG, but that was contingent on Eriksen coming back. But now Eriksen had such a good run of form in the last 2 weeks at Inter that they don't want to sell him. So,
great.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Give me your top 4 at the end of the season. Give me your champion and give me your 3 relegated sides.
Okay. In order here,
you don't have to give me order top 4, but you can start with your champ.
I think City's gonna run away with it. that's a pretty easy choice, but I think they're like, I don't know. They can just put one goal in and then hang on for the game. If they do that for the rest of the season, I think they're okay. Have they had any bad runs? Like they had maybe had like a 2 or 3 game sort of tough stretch
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago. But
Yeah, like 2
all of
points
these
in
other
3
teams
games.
have had.
Right.
Everyone else has had a lot worse like runs and problems come up than City. I think unless something goes wrong, like really wrong, they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
I think Liverpool's probably going to end up over United. But United will still be up there. I think they'll probably just switch from where they are now. Chelsea's got to win a lot. I don't have any faith in Leicester. They slipped like off at the end of last
year.
Yeah. So I don't know who's gonna like come up to replace them. I don't have a lot of faith that West Ham will be the ones to do it either. But
I'd love.
I don't know. I think Chelsea always finds their way up there. They always do. I think they're going to be the ones to get that 4th spot.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I don't think I think the relegation guys are going to be where they are now, unless like I didn't realize it was this much of a gap between like even Newcastle, because I might have said like Newcastle's going to fall through, but unless they like really really fall apart, I don't think Fulham's passing them.
No.
Big Sam has never been relegated though, so I gotta think that he's gonna go Super Saiyan Big Sam here and somehow pull that out. I don't know how he's gonna do it on West Brom, but
there's not a lot there to do anything with.
Yeah, I didn't really 50 goals allowed on them, man. I think it's his time finally. And
if they can find a way to stop giving up goals, then they might be all right. But
that's a good place to start. Yeah.
It's safe words.
Everyone else has so much more like promise. Like I just don't think it's hard to say. It's going to take something really terrible happening for like the 14 through 17 guys.
Right.
I don't know. I've seen Leeds turn to crap.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to get that bad though.
No, there's generally a team in the relegation zone at this point in the year that makes a run late, but I don't see it on any of these teams. I think if anyone's going to do it, it's Fulham. I think they have enough, especially if they sort out their front, because they've got an okay defense, but they just aren't scoring goals. And then like there's Burnley, who cannot score a goal, but like 26 allowed is better than West Ham and United. So like they can play D, they just can't score. I'm gonna go City. I think Liverpool does finish second, and I think it's close. I think United has another bad run in them. I think Leicester hold on this year.
Okay.
I think they do. And then I think Chelsea goes to Europa.
Oh, I didn't say for that one, did I? Yeah, I think Leicester will go to Europa.
Okay, that's fair.
I think they'll probably stay in that spot.
Was that the top 4 last year? Except Liverpool won?
I think so, huh?
Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of where we're at. I hope Villa makes a run. I very badly hope Villa makes a run. I want Jack Grealish to become the highest paid player in the world.
Yeah. Throw that party money around wherever he wants, please.
He wouldn't do that. He doesn't party at all. Fulham's got a game in hand, so if they win their next one, big if, like that might make this a little more questionable. And I think, Newcastle's going to fire Steve Bruce, and then they're going to get a new manager bump.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I think it kind of stays this way. Sheffield you might as well pull the plug on them now. They're bad. And then West Brom. I mean, look, you can't go with that many goals. I don't know how Sam's going to change that. So I'm going to go ahead and say that's the bottom 3. But
okay. If there's anyone that's at a risk, that's Newcastle, and they're still pretty comfortable compared to everyone else.
Yeah, I don't love it. We both just jinxed City, so congrats, Liverpool fans.
That's fine. I'll jinx City. I don't like them either. Ready to rumble, baby?
Not gonna go down that. Yeah. It's almost time. I gotta order some wings. Both got our wrestling shirts on. It's Royal Rumble night. We should have done something wrestling related. But how do you do that?
We should have done our Rumble picks live. Are just drawing from a hat. I don't. That's not very exciting, but whatever.
It's for us, not anyone else. I don't even know the rest anyway, so I can't pretend to know. All right, man. Well, this is our longest show.
Nice.
But
hey, that's what happens when you go through the entire table and go
yeah.
for every
I don't
single
like
one.
any of these guys.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm already looking at championship team. I want to like a championship team. I'm gonna become a Wickham man, I think.
Aren't they in League One?
Oh well, then I'm gonna like League One teams then.
No, you're right. They're in the championship.
I had like some notes written down. I guess I wrote so much more at the beginning of the week than at the end because I just like was like, I love Akinfenwa, love that guy. And I wanted to say, I can't remember if I texted you this, but their manager, you said he looked like Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm going to be a little nicer. I think he's a combination. I said Geddy Lee. I think he's a combination of Geddy Lee and like Flea. He has Geddy Lee hair and sort of like
he does have the Flea face.
But he has a Flea face. Yeah, right.
He does.
Yeah. And also, apparently it like was getting subbed in for games as of like 3 years ago.
Oh, that's right. I did. Yeah. I heard that.
Yeah.
Gareth. He's another
Gareth Ainsworth.
Gareth Ainsworth. What a man.
Rock and roll man.
Hey. Yes. Go Wickham.
Go Wickham.
They're getting relegated. But...
No, they're not. No. Then I'll see you in League One, baby.
Jeez. Wickham Wanderers. Where are we at? And then we'll get out of here. Time to prepare. They play Birmingham City in 2 days.
Let's go.
What's the table looking like? Oh yeah, they're on 15 points. They do have a game in hand though.
Ooh, is that the case? Oh no.
Not great for the Wanderers.
Never mind. Sorry, guys.
You only can pick teams that make you sad.
Yep.
Just like the teams we pick in DFS. All right, let's get ready to rumble. Thanks to everybody. If you're still in after an hour and enjoy our mid-season update. I don't know that anyone does it DFS-wise, but maybe we stumbled upon some new content.
All right, man.
All right. Again, thank y'all. Thanks for tuning in to Tilt City. Subscribe, like, and subscribe. I don't say it enough to FSI. They're kind enough to host us at this point, even though we probably get them closer to being in trouble than any sort of profit. But like and subscribe. Head over to the Discord. If you're into DFS enough to watch us talk for an hour, then you should be over there listening to some of the sage advice you get from people who aren't me and who are smarter than me and Tom.
And more concise too.
Yeah, more concise for sure. A lot of acronyms going on over there. So, all right. Until next time, thank you very much. See you.